everyone. In this video, we'll be covering functions, objects, and events in JavaScript. So I have a simple HTML here with a couple buttons. And then I've included functions.js JavaScript. You will get a copy of this in my GitHub. So you can either follow along by creating the files, or you can just use my startup code and then code along with me for JavaScript for better understanding about these concepts. Functions are not new to you. You have already used them a little bit. We just jumped the gun there so that we could have a little bit more readable code. And, we didn't go into the complications related to functions or the different variations. So today that's what we're going to be doing. So I have here a JavaScript file that has one line that says console.log. So I have put in a comment here to kind of show the section that I'm talking about. So when you write code inside JavaScript that is not in a function, what happens is the question. So let's try that. So I have one line of code in my JavaScript. I'm opening my developer toolbar. So let me refresh the page again. See how this works. You keep watching the console log. So when I refresh the page, I get hello automatically. So how does that magic happen? So I did not do, what did I do rather? What did I do to make the console write hello? So that is where events come in. So as soon as you loaded this window, there is a load event that fires internally inside the JavaScript realm. Okay, and that load event loads or executes any code that is inside your JavaScript that is not packaged inside a function. For example, console.log is not inside any function. So it directly got invoked right away because we loaded this HTML in a window. So let me close it again and let me just show you what I mean. So I'm opening functions. That's the HTML. As soon as I load the functions and I go to the console log, even though I did not do anything, this code had already executed here. And that is because the window loaded and there is a window load event that happened. And because of that, as part of that window load event, all of the code inside my JavaScript other than functions will get invoked. Okay. So for example, if I put this console log inside a function, so let me move this guy. So now I put my code inside a function. Let's save this and refresh the page. It doesn't matter whether I write it here or not. I just personally want to keep all my functions below this line so I can explain to you better. So my little line of code is wrapped inside a function now. I'm not calling this function anywhere. Let me just double check that. Yeah, I don't have any call. So when I go and refresh the page now, my expectation is there should not be anything in the console log. So there's nothing in the console log because my function never gets called. So this is just some basic understanding that I want you to have. It confuses a lot of people about like having things inside a function versus having it outside a function. So that's the first part. So for my own sanity's sake, and what I recommend for you is just keep all of the code that is outside of a function on the top and keep all the functions in the bottom. So I'm going to call this as function definition area. So it helps you to keep things straight. So you're not getting confused if you're new to writing JavaScript. If you've already written JavaScript, you're familiar, you don't have to do all this, but just for that clarity, I'm just telling you this. So when I'm talking about function definition, what do I mean? Function definition is where we say what goes into a function. Not only that, a function also takes parameters which is also like input, and then so all these things have to be defined before we write a function. Before we even get there, let's talk about why do we need a function? Why can't we just write all the code here, line after line after line? So the reason is because as programmers, we always strive for efficiency and we want to be able to reuse code whenever possible. So if there is a particular set of instructions that are being used again and again, it is not very efficient to keep writing code for that. Instead, we want to write once and use it again and again. The other benefit, or one of the key benefits of doing functions, is because once you write a function and test it, how many ever times you use it, the quality is going to be really good, as opposed to you writing the same code multiple times. Because we are humans, we are error prone. So the code, we may introduce some bug into the code. So we want to keep the lines of code as minimal as possible. We want to keep the code as readable as possible, and we want to make sure that it is bug free. So that is the reason why we use functions. Okay, so I was telling you the window load event read all of the code here and caused a trigger. So that is something that we saw. So how do I trigger a function? How do I call a function? So there is function definition, then there is function call. So I can call a function from within JavaScript or as part of an event. So if I want to trigger it as part of an event, this is what we saw last week. We said like on button click, we can just say hello here. That's our function. So here I'm triggering the hello function. I'm invoking the hello function when this button gets clicked. So let's see how that works. So refresh the page. And then let me click on this first button. As soon as every time I press the button, it keeps writing hello here. So the function got called. So the function call is triggered basically. Okay, how about we write another function? So I want to call this function from here. So when you call the function, you give function name and followed by the parenthesis and any parameters it takes. Okay, so we'll go to the parameters later. So let me tell you this one thing. When I call this function, I give the name of the function. You don't have to say function here. You don't have to use the keyword function here. Okay, you should not use the keyword function there. You use the keyword function only in the definition of a function. So it is an indication to your JavaScript that this is a function. Hello is a function. So we are indicating that it's a function, and we are saying what should happen when this function gets called. And that is all the code we wrote inside. So when I do this here, the two parentheses here are extremely important. If you write the code without this, the entire function will be returned as opposed to the return value, whatever should be. It won't be executing the code. It'll rather be like printing that value. And I can show you that also. So here I have not used the curly braces. So the entire function will be returned. So there is a difference between giving the name of the function with the parenthesis and giving the name of the function without the parenthesis. Let us see what that difference is. So when I gave it with the parenthesis, it returned this, it actually executed this function, made the console.log write hi. But when I just called hi, it shows me the entire function.